Didgeridoo, how do you do? Welcome back, everybody, to List Week. It's me, Australian YouTuber Wattles. This year, when I was planning out the list that would be going over in List Week, I knew for certain that I wanted to do one viewer-requested list. Today, that is the list. I'd like to send a thank you to this tweet, this tweet, this tweet, and so many other requests for this exact video right here. My favorite builds, the top builds of 2021. So, I gotta be honest, I felt a little bit weird about talking about only my builds. Instead of just gassing myself up for like 10 minutes in today's video, we're gonna take a look at some of my favorite builds from some underrated channels too. All of the other channels will be linked down in the description. I highly advise that you check them out because they're all great. I'd love to hear which build of mine from this year was your favorite. Drop that down in the comments below and enjoy the list. Today's video is in no particular order. So throughout 2021, I think I had like maybe 5 survival worlds that you saw. Some of them were modded, some of them were normal survival. Pretty much the entire time, throughout the whole year, I had this world right here, Minecraft Guide Season 3. The first build that I consider one of my best builds and also one of my favorite builds of this year is the temple. This gigantic temple that I set up inside of the jungle that has a use. I mean, of course it has a use. Who would set up a build that is like, I think 64 by 64 on the temple, 72 by 72 on the bottom, something like that? Who would set up a build like that and then like not have a use for it? So, of course it has a use. Now the scale of this build, massive. This is one of my biggest, or maybe actually my single biggest build of the entire year. This direction, this is the exact direction I want to go with the builds inside of my new survival world. But inside of this world, like, this is basically the peak here. Aside from the large scale of this build, one of my favorite things about it is the view from the top of this thing. From up here, we can see, like, so much. Like, all of the jungle base over there and everything that I was working on over there. I don't know, I just really like the view. I feel like the view really makes it on this build. Now, this top room is really simple, like, relatively speaking, but it's one of my favorite parts of the build. Like, the terracotta in there, I feel like terracotta is so underloved. I mean, realistically, how in the world are we ever meant to use some of these things? I guess maybe like a small accent, which is exactly what I decided to do here, and I think it turned out pretty nicely. Again, it has a use, which is on the inside, and it's really tall. Flying around in the air next to a build is one thing, but looking at it from the ground, yeah, that's where you get the perspective. Standing on the ground next to the build, you can start to see how tall this build really is. One more thing that I like about the temple is how it looks from a distance, like being over here inside of the jungle, looking over and having this gigantic temple looming over the rest of the jungle. It's just a vibe like that is unmatched. It was one of my favorite parts about the jungle base. One of my favorite parts about the jungle base was really just the entire ambiance of this area. It felt really full and complete. The temple definitely helped create that vibe. There's this one particular Minecraft build style that I've been fascinated with for years, but also like terrified of at the same time. It's so difficult. So if you're into those Minecraft builds where you take a real world building, throw it inside of a world, and basically exact replica, yeah, this is definitely the channel for you. WBC Builds, insanely underrated. I sincerely think that WBC Builds has got to be one of the best builders out there. Like the builds that are shown off on this channel, so consistently top tier. Like they're so amazing looking. Like I mean, you take a literal real world building, put it into Minecraft, and then it still looks real. How do they even do this? It's insane. Realistic builds inside of Minecraft is one common theme for this channel. Maxed out atmosphere inside of the game, that's another consistent theme here too. It was really hard for me to pick my single favorite build of WBC as I really just love them all, but I think this one takes the trophy. It is the murder house from American Horror Story. What they were able to pull off here with this build and the details that they put into it, like look at this chimney right there, like literally the pots on top of the chimney, a genius idea. I would have never thought of that. What they've done with this build is peak Minecraft. But it doesn't stop at the outside here on this build. On the inside, it literally feels like a haunted house. And I've never seen American Horror Story, but this house is like 100% a haunted house, absolutely. I think what took this one over the edge for me is the creepy vibes. The creepy vibes are top tier. Consistently, ghost-related demon movies, they're my favorite of all time. And Snow White. I really like Snow White too. This is an amazing build. Earlier this year, I had a series called Lucky Mob Survival. It was really fun. I think the series took place in like the spring or the summer of this year. The concept was pretty straightforward. Basically, you have a mob inside of this world. You take the mob out, it drops a lucky block. Lucky block, completely random. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Inside of this world is actually probably one of my favorite builds of the entire year. Potato Tower, this build right here. So, hey, it's really not too much. It's very open, but I just like how it turned out. Like the spikes on the top of this thing, this is when I started doing more spikes on my build. And then the open floors, the open concept, I just really like it. I like how it turned out. Now initially, I think on this build, I was planning maybe 3 towers here. I like the number of 3, so 1, 2. The third one is missing. I ran out of room here, and to be honest, this is already a lot of potatoes. My initial plan with this world was to have it be a little bit more long-term, and I would do more builds inside of this world. So I would do something like that. That's the starter house. I do like that build too. I would fill up this island, I was thinking, then I would maybe build over there, expand this field, make it go really, really far. Like, I think literally as far as I can see, I had said, but I never really got there. I feel like 2021 is a year where I made a lot of improvement when it comes to my building. A build like this, I probably would have built something like this in earlier years, but it would have never ended up looking like this. I feel like this is a really nice looking build. I feel like I've known about NashCrafter's channel for like practically ages now. I don't know when I found her channel, but her channel is great. On her channel, she does a lot of survival let's play content, SMP content, and some other stuff mixed in here and there. Consistently, the builds are always absolutely amazing. If you're looking for a good series to check out over the holidays, highly recommend NashCrafter's 1.17 Let's Play series. It's not too long, so you could easily finish it all, and the builds inside of this world are really, really nice. My favorite build of hers inside of her world, though, is this one right here. Look at this deep slate. I mean, right off the bat, how can you not love it? The details on the roof, too, the spikes, the anvils, we love it. I've been all about spikes this year. It's so nice looking. Now, I believe she called this build the mausoleum, so bonus points there. It's a spawner. That's a spawner inside of there, and even better, it's a skeleton spawner. Underneath the mausoleum is a skeleton farm. We love skeleton farms. The face of the build, though, like, literally look at this thing. I don't know what it is with me and Deep Slate, and also me and Spikes, but, like, it's just a great combination. I feel like this build looks so, so good. Also, the stone variation on the wall there, the mossy cobblestone, too. Like, I can't even say anything else. It's got all of the best blocks in the world. The mausoleum is great, but really, the whole world is, too. There are tons of small details all over the world that make it feel really, really cozy. It's a great series. Speaking of spikes, please allow me to show you my spikes right here. My finest of spikes too, the cathedral. When you saw this title, you probably already knew this was going to be in here. The cathedral. I've given it so much love. In fact, way too much love this year. This is my favorite, hands down. Probably my best storage building that I've ever built. It's got so much storage, more than you could ever need, and I love the look of it. So this side is technically the front of the build. We have this gigantic grand window. Then over here was like the main door for the longest time. I put a bell tower right there. I really do like the bell tower. There's the colored stained glass. Nowadays, I probably actually wouldn't do that. I feel like it's a little random, like when compared to the rest of the build. Like I would probably just match that glass. But anyways, bell tower right there. And then over here, the back of the build. It might actually be my favorite side. I feel like it looks really, really grand. And then over here, bonus points for having one of my favorite doors that I've ever built. I love these things. The spiral doors, like perfect spiral. How can you not just want to stand here and like look at that all day? Maybe I'm a simple person, but like spiral door, definitely count me in. Now anyways, the inside of the build, super happy with the inside too. Up top, I have excess storage. If I'm going to be honest, I feel like I could do this system a little bit better. I also always meant to come in here and put more chests. I always use the excuse that I didn't have enough wood, but that was a lie. Spiral staircases down here in the back of the build to get down. It's very dramatic, not as functional, admittedly, but then the main floor inside of here, we have all of the pets that I have in this world, or at least a lot of them. A lot of the pets that I had inside of this world, and then storage system all over the place. One of the things that I'm most excited for in my new survival series is setting up a storage building. Like, I love designing these things, setting them up. It's really, really fun. This building had way more storage than I would have ever needed. I could have easily moved in here after 1.17 and fit everything. I think I was questioning it at the time, but like 100% could have easily been done. There's so many empty chests in here, like this whole row of the barrels too. There's a lot of storage here. And I also really, really like the aesthetics of the room and the backdrop of the room. Like standing in here and just doing like an intro with all of this stuff in the background. I don't know. I feel like it looks really, really cool. Storage cathedral, my favorite storage room ever, and one of my favorite builds of the entire year. Cozy, blocky, adorable build style, Goldrobin, 100%. So Goldrobin has a lot of really, really amazing builds, like a frog love right here. The frog house is so amazing. So many great builds. Probably my favorite builds of all time of Golden Robins are the statues, though. Like this one right here. This one right here. You have Gemini, Tay, Mythical Sauches, and Goldrobin. The small statues that Goldrobin does, I don't even know how they come up with these things. Like, look at this thing. It's, like, so perfect. The embodiment of, like, detail and craziness sometimes. Look at this. The dispensers for the eyes, this thing looks insane. It's out of its mind. You probably should not go near it. It's so good looking, though. Goldrobin's statues. I always see them on Twitter. These things are amazing. If you've never experienced these before, you're welcome for introducing you to these things. Go to their channel, check it out. There are so many different small statues. Some of the statues are from before this year, some of the statues are from this year. Also, the build tutorials for the statues are very, very easy to follow. Goldrobin's builds are amazing. I love the statues. It would be an honor to one day have myself created in a statue, but it's only a dream for now. Check out Goldrobin. In the Minecraft Guide 3 world, after 1.17 dropped, we moved out to a new base. I had a lot of fun working on this base. I feel like this base is another spot where my building started to really improve again. One of my favorite builds inside of this base, and pretty much like one of the significant moments where I felt like the building like specifically improved was this build right over here, the Haunted Chateau. I love this thing. I'm really happy with how this build turned out. The Haunted Chateau is exactly what I was hoping it would turn out to be. A literal haunted chateau. I like the roofline that I did on this thing. It's like weird and different and definitely evil looking. Really like that. I like how it's just all really basically a big square, so it's a relatively simple build. And then the inside. The inside is absolutely destroyed. Really like how I did that. And then down here, the skeleton spawner. Like with NashCrafter's build, it's a skeleton spawner instead of a build. Yeah, that's like guaranteed. Certified bonus points every time. One small piece of the build that I really like is the small skeleton base right here. I feel like it's like with the big eyes, like I don't know, it just does not look evil at all, and I love it. Eventually I came back in and detailed the path coming up to the Haunted Chateau, which I feel like helps the build out even more, and I really like the isolated nature of the build. Like, it's completely set off from the rest of the base. We have it over there that you can see in the distance, which is pretty cool looking, but like, yeah, it's like completely on its own. I feel like that's kind of cool. This build at midnight is dark, eerie, and the exact vibe that I was going for, especially with the shaders on and like the ambient lighting and everything like that. Like, it just looks really nice. Imagine having the 1.19 fireflies around this thing. It would finish it. Fully finished off. If you're looking for a good long-term survival world, like we're talking over 200 episodes, and the world is absolutely amazing, vibey, Farzy 100%. I feel like Farzy's channel is really underrated. There are so many really interesting builds inside of the world. Like this one right here, it's like a moon base inside of the end. That's awesome. I have some pretty recent trauma, which is very inconsiderate of Farzy to actually build this build inside of their world. Months ago too, by the way, to be clear. I have some trauma going on right now with lighthouses. You know how lighthouses are. They're lighthouses. Well, you see, I built a lighthouse inside of my world, and it's a build, for sure. It's inside of my world. That is actually definitely true to say. But Farzy, oh boy, Farzy built the lighthouse inside of his world, and it's a lighthouse, like no mistaking it at all. You see this thing with the striping right there. There's no mistaking it. That's a lighthouse. The whole time that I've played Minecraft, I don't know what it is. I've had this fascination with lighthouses. Maybe I was a lighthouse in a past life or something. I have no clue. I like lighthouses. I've always dreamt of being able to create a lighthouse that looks like this with working lights at the top too. It's an amazing build. Finally, last but not least, remember, it's not in an order, right? So, pretty recently, in my new survival series, I built a starter house. The starter house that I came up with inside of this world is one of my favorites, or maybe even my favorite build of the entire year. Here it is, the starter house flying ship boat base. The concept for this base came across me like completely randomly. I wasn't even doing anything Minecraft related, and the idea came into my head to build a gigantic floating ship next to one of the new 1.18 mountains just in the sky for the starter house, so I went with it. That's what I did. I'm really happy with how this build turned out. I'm pretty sure this is also like the first time ever that I've created a ship that, in my opinion, actually looks like a real ship. Like, I feel like I got the shaping pretty much perfect on this build. I think it makes sense. Ships are something that I have always consistently just struggled with building. Now, if you've been following the survival series at all, then you probably know that the ship is still a work in progress. It's not even fully finished. I want to add more details to the deck and things like that, but I still really like the build. I've always wanted to build a boat, and I've always wanted to build a sky base. Why not combine them? Do them both at the exact same time. Flying ship, starter house, sky base. It's one of my favorite builds of the whole year. And that's it. Those are my 5 favorite builds of 2021. I had a lot of fun working on all of these builds. Which build of mine was your favorite from this year? And what would you like to see me do more of in the next year? Like, what type of builds? Throw those down in the comments. Definitely check out the other channels that we talked about in today's video as well. They're all linked down in the description, and they're all top tier. Huge thank you to my patrons, Noodle Pork, Bill W, Monkey Boy Chuck, and Michael A. Thank you so much for the support. It has definitely been me, your boy Wattles, so thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.